This is now the interview with Eddie Tan, the founder of Caketella, following our tour through his factory. Now you do know that Caketella is mainly specialized in producing alcoholic cakes and nowadays keto cakes. We hardly talk about alcoholic cakes in this interview, but mainly what it takes for a young entrepreneur to stay successful in a highly competitive business. But again, out of respect, if this upsets you, please stop watching right now. But in this interview, we cover his upbringing and the importance of his family and their values installed inside of him to make him successful, which ultimately led to the opening of his company. We talked about the impact of COVID and how COVID nearly brought his company to a standstill and how he was able to reposition it to become even more successful right now and today. He shared with us his way of generating ideas to create awesome products for his customers. Also, we talked about the importance of taking care of body, mind and soul if you want to stay successful in the long term. So I hope you enjoy this video as we start right away, right now.
What inspired you? Because I was 24 years old. Not everybody in 24 years old aspires to open a bakery of all companies. What inspired you?
So I think ever since secondary school, I always wanted to start my own business. So then, and during Form 5, I wasn't really good in my studies, but luckily I found my passion, which is cooking or baking.
All right.
Yeah, so I went to culinary school, and so for me, I done this business full time 11 years ago, but I actually started part time for another 2 years.
So you started 2 years part time first, is it, or
right.
Additional?
While having a full time job.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you were it was before 11 years.
Correct.
So basically, you started 13 years ago,
around,
2 years part time.
So once after college, I went out to work for half a year. Then I started my own part time kind of bakery business.
And how did you discover your passion in baking and cooking?
No, for me, I think it was because of my parents' upbringing. My dad was a foodie, so I think a good example was like 15 years, 14 years ago, like there's TGIF, Italianese, when it just came out, right? So, like for example, Italianese, I think one of the very fond memory was Italianese. Like, my dad would actually bring us to Italianese to eat like ciabatta, you dip with vinegar and olive oil. That was like so special back then, right? So my dad is a foodie. Where else, my mom loved to cook. No matter, every morning she will cook breakfast, pre-cooked lunch for us, where I just microwave. After work, come home, she will also cook dinner for us.
Wow.
So maybe it's for her to save money, but so we can really feel the love from her.
Right,
so back
the
then,
love and the food.
Correct. So ever since, like, my mom, she works so, like, it's 6 days, she works 6 working days. Last time there's no 5 working days. So what happened was, every night come home, she cook her meal, then she just want to take her food and watch the TVB drama.
All right, okay.
Just because she's really tired, right? So then I don't really get to spend time with her. So what I do was I will go into the kitchen, I will kacau her, like literally I will kacau the wok, and from there I slowly got upgraded. Like she'll call me, hey, cook rice, defrost this.
Right.
Halfway cooking, she said, okay, you settle, I go bathe.
Wow.
So that's how I started to build that passion.
Okay, but when you moved, this is the original location here, where you are
So
here right
just now we have two. I think I'll tour you 2 factories. We have
Right.
the keto cake and Caketella. So originally I was doing from home for a pretty long time, like for 8 years ago.
So it was like kind of personal orders coming in,
Correct.
and then you cooked it at home, basically.
So but then starting, we actually do a lot of B2B. We supply to a lot of cafes and restaurants, just that people don't really know about us because we just supply.
Okay. Wow. And why cakes and at all, basically? Why alcoholic cakes?
For me, if honestly, I never really think of what I want to do, but I realized if you put alcohol into cakes, it actually tastes quite good.
Right.
Because alcohol is quite fragrant, it has its own unique profile. So yeah, and just long story short, things just happen.
Right. And you, I know you're very, very innovative. You have constantly new ideas, the newest version, innovation of cakes. Is a keto cake coming up. How do you get the ideas for new cakes?
Interesting. So I think it's something like last time my dad always wanted to bring us to food adventure every time there's something new. So my brain, I live in the world of possibility, right? So for example, if you add like Chinese, let's say a Chinese wine soup, right? What happens if you use, instead of using Chinese wine, Shaoxing wine, you use like a white wine? How will it taste like? So for me, I think for me it's just it's like my playground,
Right.
to experiment.
So you're
and
experimenting around, testing it out, see how it tastes, and then if it's tasting, how do you test it out in the market?
So we will always do a soft launch. We'll do a market validation first before we build. So it's always step by step. It's not like for example keto cake. We actually didn't want to do keto cake. We wanted to do some other brands, but after 8 months of R&D, suddenly my chef gave me a cup of tiramisu. She did not tell me it was keto. I thought it was just a normal cake. So I had a bite and I said, okay, not bad, 7 out of 10. Then she looked at me, this is keto.
Okay.
Wow, we hit jackpot, right? And yeah, from there then we start to build up keto cake. But keto cake at first we thought it's for keto people, but we just found out the market was too small. Then we realized that actually there's a lot of people with sugar health problem, like diabetes. Like my grandparents, they are diabetic. My mom, she's borderline, so she had to prick her blood sugar, you know.
So it's your relation to your family which actually caused you to go into a health trip and then create keto.
I think a lot of it comes to like if what I want to eat, then I'll make it.
What do you want to eat first, isn't it?
Yeah. It's
Of
whatever.
course.
So a lot of the food tasting is all about what I like to eat.
Which is very assuring, right? If you don't eat your own cakes.
So a lot of times like alcohol, like it will all follow my flavor profile. Keto cake also is something. If it's keto cake, we don't really want it to be. We don't want you to eat while feeling like you're compromising. So we actually replicate to almost 80-90% similar to a normal cake.
I see.
Right? But it took
as
us
much as possible.
It took us a lot of R&D and hard work.
Right. So you mentioned R&D. What do you mean by R&D with regard to cakes?
Okay, so when we talk about R&D, it's we need to, we need to understand science. We can't just go blindly like A plus A is B, right? We cannot. We need to understand the science and logic behind. So, for example, like keto cake, you don't use flour, you don't use sugar, so it's really hard. So then you have to ask yourself, what is the importance of flour? What does it do? What role does it play? It's a cement, it's a holding block, you know, it gives volume. So then, okay, what other ingredient can replicate the same effect? You know, so we really have to break down from there.
Interesting.
Right? Like what's the role of egg, right? What's the role of sugar?
Now your company is called Caketella, and I know a long time ago I was asking you for the origin of that story, and I think it's quite interesting to know where that name Caketella is actually coming from. So share your story of how did you get to Caketella. I know it relates to, my imagination is, so it's like relates to all of your creativity.
So for me, Caketella, from a business point of view, it's Nutella. So it's easy to remember. Caketella, Nutella, it's easy to remember. But the whole point was we believe during each celebration, everyone have a story to share. So then why not you tell your story lah? Tell lah.
Oh,
so
okay.
Tell a story lah.
I see. That's a Malaysian la in there, isn't it?
Correct. So most of the time when you sell a cake or you celebrate someone's birthday anniversary, there's always a story to tell lah. So you just tell lah.
So tell a story la. So telling a story through a cake.
Yes.
La. Tell a story through a cake la.
Yeah.
It could be just a title for the thumbnail here, isn't it?
La.
Cake la. Oh, interesting. So I do know you're very, very health conscious. Keto gets into that area as well. You do a lot of meditation. I think you also do yoga.
Yoga I don't, yeah, but
okay, but meditation. So how does meditation influence you in your overall business conduct, business ethics, business behavior, development?
I think for me, it's I think a simple way to put it is a lot of time we operate from the mind, where you meditate is you're operating from the heart. So if you look at a kid, they just play for the sake of playing. They don't really think about doing things. You know, I just want to play. I just want to be. Right.
Be in the moment, basically.
Correct.
As a
So
child.
meditation do help me a lot in be in the moment. And a lot of times when I go very deep into meditation, I don't know heard of this term like a super mind. I don't know. There's a proper term for it, right?
Who cares?
You go into a very deep thinking, very fast deep thinking.
Okay. Do you tap into ideas? Do you get ideas while you do meditation?
Yes. So I think I give a good example was we make a bak kwa. Bak Kwa cookies.
What is this?
Bak Kwa is like a jerky,
It's a
meat
what?
jerky.
Okay,
Yeah,
interesting.
we Chinese, we eat for Chinese New Year. So it's
Okay,
like a meat
okay.
jerky. So
Okay.
how can you put a Bak Kwa meat jerky into a chocolate chip
Bak Kwa,
cookies?
okay.
Right, so we couldn't really figure it out for a long time. Then one day I was just meditating, then
The idea just came. Do you meditate with an intention of getting ideas, or you just meditate and that's...
no. So a lot of times when I meditate, it's just trying to be present, trying to connect. Once I connect, then sometimes the supercomputer will kick in, where things will be processed really, really fast.
Okay, so you get your innovation, your creativity through meditation.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And also traveling inspiration, or like a lot. Or if I go out eat, then I ask myself, okay, if chendol, right? You're eating a bowl of chendol. If you put some rum inside, how it tastes.
So here's your thought.
Yeah.
So you're rolling, your brain is rolling, looking constantly for new innovation, new creativity.
So it's like a kid. It's just like a kid just wanting to play.
I see.
So yeah, same thing.
So your creation of cakes is like a kid playing on the playground.
Right. Like
And
they play
also-
masa.
And all, yeah, like Basaga, all the kids like play. And also, of course, I think, to dare to say that, first of all, despite everything, you are very slim. You lost some weight, I think, through overall exercising. Meditation, I think, helps you also with your health, gives you anti-aging, because I think this guy's, that's why I mentioned it earlier, 35 years old, but actually, as you could most likely see as well in the tour, he looks very young, is full of energy. Is that all coming together? How do you manage it all?
Yeah, you need to attend NLP class.
Okay, aside from NLP, thanks for my promotion alert here.
I think aside from that is, for me, I'm very competitive. So I always want to be in tip-top form, right? So I take good care of my body, because my body is my temper, right? It's like a car, right?
Right, interesting, okay. So you meditate,
I meditate, I work out, but I have 2 kids, so I hardly got time to go to the gym or go for a full run. So I just work out with my kids. When they go Padang, I just hang around. Like kids are just pumping squats, run around with them.
Right,
just pull myself up while they are
and
playing.
your kids are kind of the weight lifting the kids
So
as well.
every Sunday morning, I will walk barefoot out like around 15 minutes. With
Bare
my-
feet?
Yeah, barefoot.
Interesting,
With my
right.
son, 2 of them, a 5-year-old and a 1-year-old. We started since my son was 3-year-old. So we just barefoot walk. Then I'll
Nice.
put on a body weight, like a 20 kilo vest. Then
Wow.
I'll carry my 8 kilo son.
Okay.
Then you just walk.
That's like the health tip for exercising, to stay young, mentally fit, physically fit, to run at top speed all the time, isn't it?
I always have a belief that in life, I hate to be uncomfortable or put myself in a situation to make myself uncomfortable, but I feel a lot of times in life is you have to go through the uncomfortable moment, then only you appreciate a comfort.
I see.
For example, okay, if you go for a half marathon, when you come home and you get to lie down and stuff, it's like, I feel so good.
That's it, basically. Half marathon, not a full marathon.
If you run full, I've never done a full before.
Okay. So how do you tell me about a story when you were? I mean, it's always interesting to know from entrepreneurs to really when you hit the wall, and what happened and how did you get out of a hole.
So I think one very so as the business grew, I stopped. So I love baking. Baking, let's say you bake the whole day, it just feels like time just fly. I get into a zone, right? Then, but when business grow, I have to step up from baking. I need to handle operation. So when I handle operation, it's still fine because I get to talk to customers. So when the business grew to the point where I don't even get to see my customer, it became a bit of disconnected because I like people, I like food. So I don't even bake, I don't even talk to my customers, I don't even get to see them. I just manage my internal team, So then I always used to think I was the best baker, I can bake the best, I can be the best customer service. But then suddenly one day when I went to a Tony Robbins event, I just have this, I was really depressed back then. Yeah, I was depressed. So like at that time, I think we were doing like less than 1 million or 2 million sales, and I just saying that I want to sell my company. But right now, if I look at if I'm an investor, I want to buy a $1 to $2 million company. I won't even consider. So I really hated my business. I don't really know what I want in life. So then I came to a realization that my real interest, my real passion is actually seeing people grow. nurturing people as like a coach.
I see.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Okay.
Then my perception changed. Then I start to realize these are people who can actually bake better than me, can do marketing, can do customer service way better than me. Just that maybe they were not given the opportunity to do so. So then I would like to give them that opportunity. I think a very good example in my marketing team, one of them was a hospitality student. He's a butler. Right, hotel butler. Another one is a barista, which you saw just now, right?
Okay.
So, but now they are in terms of marketing, I think they are really good. Just that maybe they didn't have a good opportunity or to be mentored upon. Even a lot of our chefs also, we really give them opportunity to step up and grow and challenge themselves.
So it's basically identifying, okay, you had a time when you did not see the customer so much anymore, but then you start focusing basically on growing your team, finding people who are having a certain talent, and you pick them up from somewhere.
Right.
You see the talent, and then you pick them up, putting them here, nurturing, coaching them up to higher level. That's nice.
And it will meet the same result because end up they will be the one baking, so the customer get to feel happy and they get to serve the customer. So it actually matches. Just that what I do every day now is every morning I will cook for my kids and my wife.
Oh, I see.
Right?
Nice.
And if on my personal page, I teach people how to bake, how to cook.
Okay.
Right? So at least these are things that make me happy.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. So what is the one moment in your company journey as an entrepreneur that you realize it's all worth it?
Worth it. Oh, that's interesting.
I haven't reached that point yet.
I'm always seeking for more. Just that I'm really grateful of what I have or what I've accomplished. So if you ask me what I'm worth it, is a lot of times when I meditate, when we focus on gratitude, when I look back on my journey, I feel really grateful and proud of myself. Like back then, I was just like everyone else, just graduated fresh. You don't know anything. To that 13 years where I'm 35-year-old right now, I start to understand a lot of things compared to back then, right?
Sure, of course.
So if you ask me, I think it's always a journey, right?
Interesting.
Rather than the end, because like coming back the whole comfortable, uncomfortable kind of thing. When you run a marathon, it's always the journey. It's not the end result.
True. I also know you're doing a lot of TikTok videos or videos on Instagram and Facebook and all of that. So how do you get the ideas about getting on TikTok, social media, and becoming really good at doing this?
So for me, I think social media it's very important because no social media means you don't have any brand presence. So then if you think I'm good, you did not see 5 years ago when I started. It was so awkward. Everything wasn't.
I had to scroll back all the various.
Just that we delete all of them, right? So I think at every start, everyone is really bad. Like for me, I suck at baking.
Sure.
So just that nobody saw that journey. Just that it's always the repetition. I think aside from repetition, also it's about finding friends or mentor to teach you, to guide you along the way. Then so that's more business. On my personal page, I teach people how to bake and cook. I think the reason was because when my mom, she will buy like those automatic bread machine. She will go for baking class. She will buy recipe book to bake and cook something new for me, or watch TV shows. So then I still remember a fond memory of her making donut. She let me chop ourselves, fry ourselves, cook in lots of sugar. Kids are sure, the more sugar the better, right? that was the best donut in my life. So for me, that was like a form of love.
I see.
So then, how I want to continue this is especially throughout this era where people are too busy with their life, they tend not to bake or cook themselves anymore. And actually, baking and cooking is quite relaxing. It's very fun, and also it's a very good way to show or connect with your family or kids. Because that's what my mom did to me. Okay. So I would like to share that with other people. And
do you do it with your children?
Unfortunately, I make cakes with my kids, right? The funny part, he will eat all the sugar, he will eat all the raisin, eat all the fruits, right? But I do that with them.
So actually, it's quite an interesting topic. You mentioned how your parents, how your mom imprinted inside of you the passion for cooking, the family environment, very, very important. Is that something overall, basically, that parents should actually do more, spend time with the children nowadays? Because I know many people are just busy doing a business, going for work. Precious time in private life gets shorter and shorter. Is that something that you advocate for?
I mean, it really depends on circumstances. I think if you have a dream, you should go for it. Just that don't forget you have a family, right? So for me, I try. So one thing unique about our company is we are a bakery. We do online. We are not open on Sunday.
Right, okay.
Right. So, and we finish work by around 6, I would say normally by 6. So then for F&B industry, we are going against the norm, right? Because normally F&B is nighttime or Sunday is a
Especially bakers, right?
Yes, just that for me, work-life balance is important. So if I could create a change for the F&B industry people to really have a life, because I've been through, I worked for 1.5 years, I have no life, you know, like my off day is where it's, let's say it falls on a Tuesday, everyone's busy. My ex-girlfriend, which is my wife right now,
okay.
she had to work until 7, so we only have like a few hours together. So it doesn't make sense, you know.
Right.
So I just like to create that change.
So is your, I mean, you reminded me right now about working long hours, and as a baker, my impression always was, coming from Germany, when I came home sometimes from working at night as well, 4 o'clock in the morning, there was a smell, a beautiful scent of freshly baked goods along the street, and I knew the baker, so I went there at 4 o'clock in the morning time, picked up the fresh buns and all that stuff. Is that still existing here, or you don't have that most likely in your bakery right now?
We don't make breads, so we only
I
make
know
cakes,
that. So you don't have that, but is it actually existing in Malaysia? Are you aware of that?
I think right now in Malaysia, usually bakers start around 4. Yeah, it's still common.
It's still very common. In Germany, it's a dying business. They're saying it's all industrialized and no longer 4 o'clock is a dying branch. Sadly enough, I want to know, what would be an advice you would give somebody who would like to start his or her own business, follow the dream? Should they start as early as you did? Should they get a really strong education? Should they start to go for work? How do they make it happen? Not necessarily in the bakery industry, but in any type of industry, but maybe related as well to your industry.
I think that for me, if I had to, for me, if it's more about, first you really need to know your strength, who you are. So if you have that strength, is it developed enough or not? If it's not developed enough, do you need to work outside, or do you need to get a mentor? And then a lot of times, I think a common mistakes a lot of entrepreneurs did was they quit their full-time job and just jump in straight, because I just share my story. I was working 3 jobs. So
3 jobs, okay.
Yeah, wow. So I have a full-time job, 8 to 6 o'clock in the central kitchen, Monday to Friday, that pay for all my expenses in whatever. And then my free time, I will do my own business, right? So the night time or weekends, and I don't work on weekends. So on weekends, if you go to the supermarket, you see a handsome guy cooking there, or I teach baking classes. I do that on the weekends.
Wow, okay.
So then, because when I start my business, it's really slow. You hardly get any orders, you know. Then when you don't have the income, you can't survive.
True.
You know? So then the question is, just work your ass off, right? So for example, when I work on the weekend, I was fortunate. My mom let me use their kitchen. So on the weekend, whatever class I did, I get to buy machines, or I get to invest in my business, right? Just because a lot of R&D will go out, right? So then at least my full-time job can sustain my income, my expenses and so on. So from there, eventually when business started to become better, I quit my full-time job. But I still have my freelance, and freelance is quite lucrative. For example, working 8 days of freelance is equivalent to 24 days of a full-time job. Just that you have to make sure you're good enough to build that skill.
Build up the skills, capabilities, to see your limits.
Right. So then
stretch yourself.
Then if you talk about business context, it's always phases. It's like kids, you know. First, it's a baby, right? You want to validate that baby, whether it works or not. Okay, and there's a lot of fine-tuning. So when it start crawling, then you still need to fine-tune until you start walking, right? But sometimes we walk is wobbly. So then the question is, when it start walking, you need to make sure, is it scalable, right? Is it a big enough business? By then, you only will know, because when it's still crawling, you can't really sell something.
True.
When it start walking, then you can sell, but you don't know how good or how much people want it. Yeah, so it's always step by step. Yeah, one more thing about business is, the fastest way to learn is, you know, back then when I was young, I would go for tuition. You look for a coach, like basketball coach or whatever. So how I met you was through my coach, also Raymond. He introduced me to you, right? So for me, then I think a lot of times it's still, I think a lot of us, we have this some, I would say, or a lot of people hate to study. Right? After you graduated, I don't want to study, I don't want to read anymore in my life.
Okay.
But for me, I was fortunate, I hated studying.
Okay.
But once I found my passion, I went crazy study. So then I think coming back, it's always important to have a learning mindset and always try to look for a teacher. Like for example, I took NLP with you, and I took lab profile, then I took master, and each phase you saw me grow differently.
Amazingly, yes.
Yeah, correct. I would say NLP, you know, it really helped me understand myself better a lot. Because I think a lot of times we grown up, we don't really know exactly what we do, and we have a lot of baggage. So for me, a simple form when I look at NLP is about you understanding what baggage you're holding on, and then just letting it go one by one. So just imagine if you go hike Mount Everest, you don't want to carry a bag full of rocks, you want to carry a bag full of Caketella or keto cakes. Just that a lot of times we forgot that the most important thing is us being an individual, which is our mind, right? That we totally forgot. And if you know yourself, like for example, after I done master, I became really clear I already know my purpose for my business, but it became even clearer of myself. This is what I want to do, this is my purpose, and this is my why.
I think it's important, you know, there's a danger about that when you're reaching a certain level of so-called success, we say like, I've made it, and then we stop learning until situations change, environment changes, and pulls that down, and sometimes it's too late to get back on track ultimately. It's really having the own mindset, the ability to be creative, to adjust to circumstances. Like for example, COVID most likely was maybe a blessing to you, maybe it was a challenge for you.
It was tough. So just want to be clear, the first 2 weeks was tough. We were 95% B2B, which means we supply around 40 to 50 cafes. So just overnight,
nothing anymore.
Nothing anymore. But fortunately, after that, everything picked up. Right?
Okay. So how did you make that happen? That it picked up again?
For me, I think first is the market. Everyone start buying things online. Like for example, during COVID, you get like 5 birthday cakes on your birthday. True. But other than that, it was because we sold something called box set, which means 4 slices of cakes for like 50 ringgit. And that was really funny because back then you can't go out to buy cakes, a slice of cakes, or you can't. There are not much delivery, so we were one of the early ones who actually have a website and so on.
This was an amazing interview, wasn't it? So much sharing. Now, if you believe that it's worthwhile sharing this video with some of those who you think need to watch it, why don't you share this video right now? And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Until next time, terima kasih, jumpa lagi, and bye-bye.